Hi everybody. Before we get into today's topic, there will be an icon that will appear on the top right-hand side of your screen. I invite you to vote for topics that may interest you. Please go ahead and do so, and in that way we can better serve you. So something that's come up for me during this lockdown period is the concept of identity and how we define ourselves. In some regards, all of this can be ticked on some bureaucratic document. Who I am, how I define myself, my identity is based largely on my race, my gender, my nationality. One of the first questions that come up in a social interaction is, so, what do you do for a living? In that moment right there, it is a massive aspect of my identity. First of all, perhaps, I'm looking for an area of commonality, an area where I can reach out and include you in my world, where I can relate to you. Or perhaps I can become curious and ask you interesting questions about your occupation. This is something that drives you, something that you're passionate about, something that you've chosen to invest hundreds of hours of your life. So by showing an interest in your occupation, essentially I'm showing an interest in you. Also, perhaps subconsciously or subliminally, I'm testing. I'm asking, what is your level of education? Where do you fit in on the social scale? Where do you fit in on the economic scale? And so our identity is largely based on the things that we choose to do, the things that we choose to spend our time on. Our identity is hugely based on whether we're in a relationship or not, whether we're single, married, divorced, or whether we're a parent. These are some of the larger building blocks of our identity. And yet we've chosen to define ourselves that way. And because these aspects of who we are have become so important to us and so valuable to us, these are the very areas in which we will experience a sense of being threatened, a sense of fear, a sense of disillusionment or discontent, particularly during this time of lockdown, where we've had to do things entirely differently, where we've had to parent differently, where we've had to oftentimes redefine the entire way in which we manage our occupation. And so in this time of having to analyze how we do the things we do, how we define ourselves, perhaps in that moment we can question a little deeper and say, if not for all of these pieces of the puzzle that make up me, who would I be? Who am I if I no longer define myself by my occupation, my relationship status, my gender or my nationality? What does that leave me with? And all these fears, this uncertainty, the disillusionment that I'm experiencing, I can then question, which part of my identity can I redefine in order to dispel these fears? So perhaps somewhat of a strange perception. However, if I don't define myself and who I am and my reality by my occupation, then fear no longer has a grip on me. Yes, of course, I do need to provide. Yes, of course, I do need to generate an income so that I can provide for those who are dependent on me as well as for myself. However, if my entire ego is not based on what I do, what I have, where I live, then I need not be quite as fearful. I need not be quite as disillusioned. Then in that moment, I can simply get on with the task of saying, what do I ultimately need? What do I ultimately need in order to survive? Not based on how I'd like to appear to the other, not based on how I would like to show up and be seen in the world and be perceived, but simply based on this is what I need to do in order to survive. This is what I need to do in order to gain a sense of wellness, a sense of joy, a sense of having spent my life and my hours in ways that matter, in ways that contribute, and not necessarily in ways that I can use as a little tag to identify myself on a bureaucratic document. So it's been a wonderful experience during lockdown to say, what has my identity become dependent upon? What have I been striving to achieve? What have I been spending countless hours and energy on? And has it been worth it? Do I still wish to retain that? Or do I wish to redefine it? And constantly scratching at that core question. If not for all of these tags, if not for all of these labels, if not for all of these boxes that I can tick on a bureaucratic form, then at core, who am I? And what really matters? Fiona D'Souza, Shekhinah Wellness Centre. Don't forget to vote for topics you'd like us to discuss.